Hello everybody, Pinstripe here, and welcome to the Fortification update. This is High and Wet. Yes, haha, funny joke in the video title, but seriously, we are kind of getting back to basics with some commentary because, let's face it, it has been a long time, which I know is how I start every single video, but I wanted to get back to basics when it comes to video making and push out fairly regular content that, yes, is quite simple, but generally that has been sort of my content style for the past 10-ish years, right? Whereby the majority of my content is gameplay with me talking over it or live commentaries as we go, you know, with late night stuff on Hogs and that kind of vibe. So for regular commentaries, you know, I want to get back into the basics of just gameplay, talking about what's going on or talking about specific things and giving my sort of focal points, whether it be the maps that we're playing on, the classes that we're using. And as you'll see from the gameplay, I'm not actually playing against AI, and that is deliberate. Now, last night, I don't know why this took me so long, but I had a gigantic brain fart of playing against myself, which is something that I do normally anyway for the sake of competitive. But I thought, well, why don't I do that in gameplay footage that I use for videos, right? That is way more interesting than seeing me absolutely demolish the AI every single game. Not to say that I'm amazing, but that's just generally how it is, right? You kind of reach a certain point as a Hogs of War player that the AI they're not challenging anymore. That's not to say that gameplay videos won't be coming out that will be me versus the AI, because I've got about 3 or 4 that are already made that are going to be coming out that is exactly that. And that includes me versus like 3 other AI teams, live commentaries, you know, all the usual sort of stuff. But I wanted to come at you with this video playing on the newer maps and kind of discussing things a little bit more in a more technical sense, right? Because I do that with the league stuff already, so why not have just a simple gameplay video of me versus me, giving my thinking with the lineups, giving my thinking with the tactics, the positioning, everything and anything in between. The biggest positive for me about such an idea like this is that it allows me to push out significantly more content in a shorter space of time. So I'm able to sit down for one evening and effectively plan out like the next 5 videos where I can just be playing or focusing on a specific thing, because you guys can give me stipulations to do. It could be like gunners only or only using sappers on one team. You know, there's a lot that we can do with this. But effectively, I'm trying to mitigate my editing time. As a lot of you guys know, as we're pushing into 2024, Lardcore is going to be taking up a significant portion of my editing time that I would normally have. So alongside the other videos that I'm doing with other people, or if it's a meme video, or if it's like a guide, like I've got a lot of things in the works that are taking a lot more time than usual because I am swamped by work. The key thing that I'm getting at here, though, is that I have a drive, once again, to make Hogs of War content, to at least to try and remain somewhat consistent with that content and not go too far off the rails, because there have been quite a few different types of video series that I've tried to make in the past that haven't really worked out. Like, I've tried to do stuff with Gmod and Hogs, but animation generally is something that takes up too much time that I don't have time for. Which is ironic, considering that I graduated in animation, but barely use it today, and I've kind of shifted into other things, game design being one of them. But yeah, we're kind of going a little bit off tangent. Effectively, what I want to do is get back to basics with the videos that I'm making, and in doing so, just returning to kind of where I started with Hogs. If you want to go back and see like my very first Hogs of War video, it was me doing this, although I was talking at like 1,000 miles an hour.
This is the single player campaign, 25 missions that we're going to be working through, kind of a new video series I'm going to be doing where I just talk about general strategies, tips and hints of different bits and pieces of the game, because it's something I've wanted to do for a while, but never really gotten around to. So now this is the PC version, which you can actually get on Steam, but there is one thing you should note before we start, that is the AI don't actually move.
But yeah, as with any video content, you know, it changes over time, and right now I'm not happy with where my content is because I find I'm trying to do too many things at once. So returning to a more basic form of content, the content that I enjoy making, the content that I can make consistently and produce more often, you know, because I still want to be making content for this community. I still want to be achieving my original aim, which is to bring awareness to Hogs as a community and a game, and also share as much of the old stuff as possible, because there is still just an absolute ton of things that I have either rediscovered through Lardcore and the original source code, and just generally that I have planned anyway. After 5+ years of making Hogs of War content, this game is still throwing curveballs at me and new stuff that I can talk about, debate about, and go into further detail on, because we now have access to additional info that I never would have seen before. Of course, this is all going through the chain of command. You know, I'm not looking at source code and spreading these things around. These things will be pre-planned and kind of pre-discussed with the right people, but effectively, you know, there is just a huge array of stuff that I never knew. For instance, as an example, did you know that Hogs of War used to have a piano weapon? Because I didn't. I just saw the name of what the model was called, we_piano, and I was like, okay, that's cool, but like it then does the usual thing of raises a bunch of questions like how was it used, who used it, what was it used for? The only thing I can think of is that the piano worked in the same way as like a concrete donkey, where it was just randomly dropped and fell onto a pig's head, because that does sound A, kind of funny, and B, the most plausible, because would a pig just randomly pull out like a piano and start playing or something? I have no idea. Being within that Lardcore sphere, I felt I have drifted further and further away from the sorts of content that I want to make on this main channel. You know, I use my channel as a platform for Lardcore. I do admit that, because ultimately a lot of you guys follow me for Hogs of War, right? And Lardcore, I've been talking about it for years. I'm on the project now, so therefore I should use my platform to discuss things in more detail with you, to have more human-to-human connections rather than just reading from a script, right? Because when it comes to Hogs, we're all fans of it, we're all players of it, therefore we're on the same level. You know, I'm not going to look down on you, you ain't going to look down on me, I hope, and overall just going to continue to love this game. And that is exactly what I want to do with getting back to basics of this content. I think it's really crazy to look at the content that is now widely available to the community that wasn't 5 years ago when I first started making content on Hogs of War. You look at those videos and it's me playing through the vanilla campaign, at that time on PC as well, where there was no AI that moved. I was at like the very, very beginning of my journey with Hogs, and I'm still continuing to do that, and we're still evolving that content through the competitive scene, through the types of lineups that we have. Just a single match can produce so many different strategies, and yeah, I want to start with all of the maps in the Fortification update and kind of work my way through them and talk about them as much as I possibly can. As I said at the start of this video, you know, I want to have a nice split between the wacky, silly side of Hogs and the kind of more serious competitive tone as well, because the competitive side is where more of the content will come from, and the wackier side will help to balance that out as well. The wackier side primarily being the AI just being their dumb, crazy selves, and of course continuing with online multiplayer, which we really haven't done in a casual setting in a long time. And I think for a lot of us, for me, for Caster, for Hubdirt, for Bobby and ADB, casual Hogs of War has evolved into this weird feeling of we've kind of done everything. And that's why our video content, when it comes to online Hogs, becomes increasingly more crazy, because we feel like we sort of have to make it crazier rather than any of us sort of try-harding, because we save that for competitive now. Casual Hogs is just like, how much can we break the game? What's the craziest thing we can do, or craziest concept we can use for a video, you know? And it is fun to do that. We haven't done it in a long time, and I'm sure that we're going to come together and do that at some point, including playthroughs as well, because I know that you guys have enjoyed seeing those in the past. The Hog Squad needs to get back together, and maybe one day we can finish Pins Mod version 1. Those were the days. So ultimately, I hope that the gameplay footage has been a little bit more interesting, as you've been sort of listening to me ramble about this, that and the other in this video. I hope that we can continue with said interesting gameplay. If you have enjoyed it, or if you want to see more of it, then do let me know in the comments below, and as always we can have a beautiful old discussion about it. But for now, let's see this beautiful jetpack as I come down, kill the scout with 7 HP, and then avoid the skip turn on my medic. You've probably seen as well that there have been a few turns in this match where I have sacrificed 1 or 2 players and done some questionable moves as well, because again, I am thinking within this gameplay as both teams, right? I'm trying to outmaneuver myself as I'm playing chess against myself and trying to use different lineups as well. So skipping ahead, the sapper then goes ahead, takes his turn, and this one was a tricky one because I was obviously trying to get the TNT but also trying to avoid the snipe from the scout. So I do jump down, but in doing so I end up taking an absolute ton of damage in the process. As you'll see, I'm still in the water. I slipped down and I'm still in the water. But that's what High and Wet is all about. This isn't one of the maps in the competitive pool. Whether or not it should be is highly debatable. Probably not, because there would probably be a whole bunch of spawns that could easily be broken. The water, the quantity of water, is effectively what breaks this map, because it means that every spawn is viable for water damage from the first turn, which is not great. But red team do finish with a kill here at the end, because I figured, well, I can't kill the scout. If I had a mine, I would be golden, although time limit wise I've got about 10 seconds, so I wouldn't have been able to make it over to the other side. But yeah, paratrooper will drown, but things will end up in the advantage of the yellows purely because of that single scout who takes the win. But yeah, that is going to wrap it up for this video. Like I said, plenty more to come over the next few days and in the build up to Christmas and New Year. Just lots more Hogs content to come. Hope you can stay tuned and get involved in the discussions everywhere and anywhere. But for now, I will catch you guys later for the next one.
Destination going.